Hello and welcome to Tom Heaton. Tom, you're a bit of a idol to us in some ways.
Yeah.
We're kind of starstruck here because you made something that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we are really big fans of, everything that you have been a part of for the last, 10 years?
13, I think.
Yeah.
Is it? 13 years at Supermassive?
Yes, thereabouts. Yeah. I've been here since very early on, and I've worked on a lot of the games here. Yeah.
Okay.
We're very impressed of what you've done, and it's cool to see sort of like the development, what happens with the series.
Yeah.
The last game we played together was House of Ashes.
Yes.
And then I played the Quarry. Thomas didn't play that one.
Yeah, not yet.
No, he will play it.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love both of them.
Yeah.
And now we're at The Devil in Me. And it seems to be something absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, and it seems like there's some connective tissue between the Quarry and the latest House of Ashes. There's like the gameplay resembles the Quarry a bit, right?
Yeah, me personally, I think what I saw from the video here, it looked a lot like the Quarry, The Devil in Me. But we can get back to that later. Our first question and our first checkpoint here is: you based this story around the tale of H.H. Holmes and the World's Fair Hotel, or the Murder Castle. This is a true story and a real hotel. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. So H.H. Holmes really existed. He was born in 1861, I think. He moved to Chicago. He's a qualified doctor. And in Chicago in the 1890s, in 1893, they had this big exhibition called the Columbian World's Fair, which was it was kind of a huge thing with pavilions representing all the different countries on Earth, and it had kind of visitors coming from all over America. It was a big and famous thing. And H.H. Holmes built a hotel to cater for all these guests that came in, and he killed them, or at least he killed some of them. He was arrested eventually. In I think 1896, he was arrested and he was tried. And at his trial, he confessed to 27 murders. And when they looked at this hotel, they found it was kind of extraordinary. The ground floor of the hotel was fairly conventional. There was a reception area and there was a pharmacy because Holmes also did medical stuff still. And the third floor of the hotel was pretty conventional. It was some guest rooms, rather small guest rooms. But the second floor was something else. And the press, who were obsessed with the story and were leading on it every day with these kind of sensationalist headlines, bribed their way in to see the hotel, and they drew a map which we still have today. And the second floor is full of maze-like corridors that seemed to go nowhere, walls that moved, doorways that were bricked up. There were rooms that had no windows or doors. There were rooms that had gas pipes leading into them. There were trapdoors with chutes that went down into a cellar where Holmes apparently chopped bodies up and dissolved the skin off in acid baths and then sold the skeletons back to medical school. Weird instruments to kill people, to kind of test the limits of the human body. So, I mean, this is kind of extraordinary. This is an extraordinary thing. And Holmes himself is interesting. He is handsome, suave, well-dressed, charismatic. Very successful with women, with his wife and girlfriends, some of whom he murdered. Very persuasive to men who he got to do his bidding and enter into kind of dubious business contracts with him. So, I mean, it kind of sounds like fiction, right? It's larger than life. It has been made into kind of various fictional forms. And when we knew we wanted to do all the Dark Pictures games have a different genre, so we knew we wanted to do a serial killer game, then Holmes and the hotel, this location full of interesting stuff, it just seemed like a perfect fit, really.
It's like the hotel is the actual character, right? That's the main.
I mean, it really is, because it's and most of the game is set in the modern day with a killer that is inspired by Holmes, and is using modern technology to kind of perfect his techniques. And so the hotel that the team here have created, it is like a character. It's so detailed, and it's created so lovingly, and it's got so much character. And it changes so much, it's got all these different areas. Some of it's very plush and elegant and refined, and then some of it's crumbling and falling to bits, and some of it's been converted. So players will have great fun exploring it and finding its secrets and just getting to know it.
At least for me, I'm like a serial killer aficionado, but I never heard of this.
No.
And this surprises me. I never heard of H.H. Holmes.
No.
And just...
I guess it's because he's older, really, but he's really the first serial killer. He's the first, in the modern era, I guess. And he's the first killer where the press got involved and really kind of hyped it up. They sold a lot of newspapers, just like today. People will sell newspapers and media in general off the back of the deeds of serial killers, because people are interested. People are obsessed by it. So I mean, it's a fascinating story, and it's become a mythology. Holmes himself, I think, once he knew he was going to get hanged, and that was pretty clear, he bigged up his story. He wanted to make his legend as big as possible, and there was a huge public appetite for it. He put on a show. His trial, he puts on a show. His hanging, he puts on a show and makes a little speech. So he's quite a character.
The house reminded me of. Have you heard about the Winchester House?
I have heard of that. Yeah. It's an amazing thing, and there's so much there that we could exploit, and so many things that people who know about Holmes and know the myths about Holmes will find in our game. They'll find the nods to that, and they'll find the references, and I think they'll really enjoy it.
And the thing is, even if you haven't heard about Holmes, you get to know the story in the intro, I assume.
Yeah, exactly. So we in the prologue to the game, you meet our version of Holmes. We don't quite know what he was like, but this is our version of him, and played by John Douglas, very good actor who's got this kind of wonderfully kind of soft-spoken way of speaking, but it's full of menace. It's very measured, and it's quite scary, quite a scary performance. We introduced some of those myths. So so even if you never heard of them, there's a kind of refresher course so that you can understand what it's about. One of the things that's cool is we've actually got there are actually photographs of Holmes's hotel. There's some quite blurry photographs from the time period, from the 1890s, but it wasn't knocked down till quite late, and there were photographs from either the 1920s or 1930s that really clearly show the detail. So the outside of the hotel is quite well known, and our team have been able to use those and make something that would probably be very recognizable for people living in Chicago at the time.
Yeah.
But the interiors look absolutely amazing when you see the video. And
I really love the work that you've done with all the games, with all the shadows. It's really accentuates all the frightening aspects in a way that I don't feel that many scary games do.
No,
they're very much the dynamics with shadows, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, we spend a lot of time with the environment teams. We spend a lot of time with the lighting. It's part of that cinematic presentation. That's always been our idea: is cinematic horror games. and it's about getting the set design right, getting the performances to be really authentic and using really high quality actors and really well captured, and the lighting. Absolutely, it transforms a scene. Just the lighting, it really makes a vast amount of difference. And the audio, the cinematic audio, both the music and the Foley and the incidental audio, all really important.
We've been talking a lot about voiceovers, me and Thomas. And I usually play games in Japanese if it's a Japanese game. Thomas always plays it in English. And that's because I usually think that most voiceovers and acting, when they dub something or translate something, it never delivers. But your games, they always deliver. It's the acting is always
there.
Yeah,
if
the character models would be crappy, you still have. I assume it's motion capture. And you have the acting and everything, and that really sells the games.
Yeah, it
We
translates.
put a lot into both the tech of the motion capture, which is improving all the time and improving very rapidly. Is motion capture tech. And when we first did it, people had to have things painted all over their faces, and it took quite a long time to set up. Now it's a lot quicker for the face capture. The body capture is also becoming much quicker and more accessible. This means we can get things more quickly. We can try things out. We can get things in game. We can fix things. Tech is improving all the time. And also the speed with which we get things. We can capture things and then get them into game almost immediately, and that's such a difference. We can look at it and say, actually, no, that's not quite right, and we can see them act in the environments they're going to act in. We can show the actors, look around you, here you are, and you can see it. We didn't used to be able to do any of that. So the tech is improving all the time, but also our processes are improving. It's always been really important for us to get good quality acting, to get really good quality writing. We are learning to do that better. We spend so much time on the script. I mean, we spend months on the script, really. It gets written, but because of the branching nature of what we're making, because there's so many outcomes and permutations of the way things can go together, we have to really look at the scripts and see how it all fits together. We have to look at the pacing of it. It gets polished and polished and polished. And now we use a performance director that helps us with the casting, very experienced director of performers. We create a mood on set, a bit like a workshop which actors are used to, where they can be very creative, they can be very free, and just get the performance. When you create these characters, for example, when we created the character of Kate, the presenter of the documentary crew, you try and create something interesting that's got room for growth, that's compelling, that the audience are going to find engaging. But it's only when you get an actor in. So we this time very lucky to get Jessie Buckley, Oscar nominated, BAFTA nominated, Olivia Award winner, an absolutely fantastic actress. Only when she gets hold of the part and reads it and starts voicing it, it changes. It grows right in front of your eyes, and suddenly you're seeing, actually, I didn't know this character at all. Now, seeing it because someone growing right in front of it, it's incredible. It's a privilege. It's a huge privilege to be part of that process. And the same goes for all the other characters. We were so lucky to put together such a good team on the performance front, and it's because it's so important to us for that final end product. What you're talking about, players have to have a bridge through to those characters. They have to get to know them. They have to root for them and want them to survive, because that's how the horror works.
Yeah, that's what I've felt. You're like, I played House of Ashes 3 times. Once with Thomas. We played the beta as well.
Yeah.
And I played it 2 times with my son. And it's always these different branches.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome. Because
how is that writing process really? That must be a headache.
Yeah,
in all of itself.
With a headache. It's very enjoyable, but it's very, very complicated. And when we get the writers in, they are often baffled by it, really. So this game was written by a guy called Seth Sherwood, Hollywood writer, worked on some great stuff, and he's a gamer. I mean, he loved games. He was very excited because we said we have to use our writing tool, which requires quite a high-powered computer, and he's excited because he could go and buy out a nice PC to play his games on. He liked that. And what we do is we've worked out the story. We've worked out all the branching of what's going to go on, and then we need to get our screenwriter in. We try and give them a bit of room as well. We want to say, well, look, if there's bits of the story you want to change, then talk to us, and we can try and make that happen. And I think Seth came in expecting, okay, he understood there's going to be some branching, but only when we started taking him through it, he was like, boom, wow, my head is blown. How do you guys do this? How am I going to understand this? So yeah, a real learning process for him. He loved it. It was an ambition of his to, he played like a lot of us. He played those Choose Your Own Adventure books when he was a kid, and he really wanted to do that one day. And he said, "This is it. You've done it for me. You've let me write a Choose Your Own Adventure." But yeah, he really at first he was like, "Wow, how can I do this?"
That is.
He did a great job. It's a headache. That's definitely true.
Yeah.
The game industry is the biggest entertainment industry right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is the future. We know that gamers, but this is how stories should be told instead of just.
Well, there's differences, of course, but
of course.
This is the interaction I would like to see a game develop into in the future. So who knows where it ends? And I mean, it can be as complex as you want.
Just think about the script writers that can do something like this, and get challenged to write, intriguing stories that pull you in instead of writing by the dramatical,
the usual stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, this must be a real challenge. The inspiration, you said in the video that a lot of inspiration has been The Shining, Saw, and you clearly see. What I think was cool was that this felt, from the short video, we felt that this was H.H. Holmes in a Saw version, with these sort of challenges and saw blades and etc. What's your take on that? The inspiration and making a modern version of this.
Saw, I think, was came. If you think about a Dark Pictures game where you've got a bunch of people who go somewhere and encounter some sort of horror, then. If that horror is a H.H. Holmes style hotel, then you're already quite a long way towards a Saw type scenario.
Yeah.
And the killer in The Devil in Me is controlling this kind of whole show. Really, it's like an entertainment for him. He's laid on this feast of murder. He's got these people here. He observes them. He's watching what they do. He finds their weaknesses. He finds a death that is appropriate for them and is tailor-made for them. And he's kind of savoring it. So yes, so Saw is, of course, is one of the inspirations for that. And that idea is something that people can understand. They're familiar with it. It's a very gettable idea. So yeah, that's one of the starting points, I think. And it's great fun to design and create those scenarios, to work out, well, what are we going to do with these people? You saw one of those in the video where Erin and Kate are trapped in these chambers where the air is getting sucked out, and the other characters have to make a choice about what to do. So yeah, we had fun with that.
Yeah, that was a tough time. Thomas said, but you have to kill them. The thing is that you have to keep them alive, because the challenge is seeing the curator, with all the candles and everything. So that kind of struck a string in your heart, sort of, to make that choice, but you had to make it. And we're very interested to see
where this ends, because this is like a season finale of sorts, right? Yeah. Is in the future? I know you can't tell me, but we are really interested because the curator has always been there. Is there like a chance in future games or seasons that we will get more information about the curator, or is there still going to be? Is there a tie-in? That's really basically the question.
Yeah. So what we've always said about the curator is he's got an arc, but it's working much more. It's told over the course of the seasons, so it will get developed in The Devil in Me. But it's to be continued into season 2. Season 2 definitely coming, and we're very excited about it. And I can't give you any more information about it than that. But of course, the curator will be in it, and we'll see more continuation of his arc. The curator, he's all on his own in there. He's got this repository full of books, full of stories, and occasionally he meets with, people he doesn't really, these players that he doesn't really understand, people who actually have all the power. They're the people that make all the choices. Yeah. And although the curator feels very grand and he's very aloof and kind of British, he doesn't actually have much power, and he's beginning to realise that. I think that he's not quite as grand as he thought he was. The season 2 is coming, and the curator story will continue. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. So I got just in the intro of the presentation of with the Devil in Me, I did notice that the participants in the Loadout Crew, they're pressured to make an episode or the last episode of that season. Yeah, to get renewed. And I thought it was kind of.
You're working on the season 2. We're working on the season 2. Is there some sort of connection?
Was there
a little bit of a coincidence, actually? But yeah, okay. I see the parallels. I mean, what we've got there, they're a very relatable cast. They are they're professionals. They're people with jobs. And they're like us, we're people with jobs. They're like the audience. They're people with jobs. This is a big thing in their lives. Their job isn't going so well. Maybe they'd like to be somewhere else. Maybe their job isn't quite as secure. They're working in a small team, and they don't always get on. There's little rivalries, people that needle each other, but there's also friendships, there's support groups. So this, I think, is kind of familiar to the audience. It's very accessible, and they're put in a horrible situation, but they're also weirdly put in a situation that's related to their job. One of the things I like about this is, these are not, in House of Ashes, they were trained soldiers with a weaponry and things, which is kind of handy. But the Loadout Crew don't have that. They're not trained. They're not fighters. But what they do have, which is helpful to them, is an extensive knowledge of serial killers. And there's a kind of a great bit where they suddenly realise, we can use this, guys. This is all we've got. But we've done our homework, and we know about serial killers. So what do we know? And that's the beginning of the fight back. So yeah, they're a great bunch.
Time is running out, but it's going to be absolutely amazing to see the house, to meet the Loadout Crew and Grantham Dumet.
Yeah.
The secret character here that calls them in, right? That assigns them this job. It's going to be super, super cool.
Just on a tangent there. Will there be co-op on day one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Online and coach.
Dark Pictures games have shared story, have movie nights, so you can play with your friends, pass the controller or use your own controller. You're playing in a big group, and it's very social. You're kind of discussing it. You're telling people what to do. And we've got the shared story mode, play with a friend over the internet, and you're playing at the same time, 2 characters in the environment. That's built into the game from the ground up. It has to be, we have to, right from the start, we're working out how does this storyline work with 2 players. So that'll be there day one.
All right. We just want to make sure.
We will definitely do gameplay of this one when it's released.
So just some quick questions about what are you looking forward to? You play yourself, of course, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I do, absolutely. I'm looking forward to God of War. That's coming up on my agenda, and I shall certainly be taking a look at that. Yeah, absolutely.
Same. Yeah.
And the last question: if someone wants to get into this absolutely fantastic industry is a bad word, but this area, what would your tip be for someone that's want to change profession or are young?
Yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant industry. It is can be difficult to get into. The people that are successful and have got into it are driven and they work very hard. They've identified what they want to do. It might be an artist or a designer. Increasingly writers, there's lots and lots of ways in. So work out what you want to do, and then get skills in that area. And the games industry wants people with skills. We don't really care about anything else. You can be any shape or size or personality or whatever. If you've got the skills, if you can come in and make stuff to show off your skills, you can come in and show your portfolio. Here's a great level I built. Here's a great story I wrote. Here's some code. There are jobs. We're desperate for people, but we need people with skills that are very driven.
Yeah.
Fantastic tips.
Maybe it's a fun industry, so go for it.
Yeah. All right.
This bit has been great.
Yeah.
And we hope to come back and talk to you for the next season or something.
Yeah.
It would be cool to catch up then and see what people thought of this game.
I imagine you have a lot of interviews now going. You're going to Gamescom, right?
I have back-to-back interviews, but it's great. I love to talk to people about the game. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you so much, Tom. This was awesome, and thank you everyone else that was moderating this.
Yeah, and thank you for everything you do. You do amazing games, so keep on working this.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
See ya.